One thing we didn't get to show you in the first video was the deletion of your either workload clusters or your actual management cluster as well. So as you can see here in the AWS console, you can see that I have my management cluster, which is just called Explore. So everything Explore-Bastion, Explore-MD, Explore control plane is all of my management, and then my worker node or my workload cluster is Explore-WRK. Now there's two options here, and it's documented quite well in the documentation. But if we want to delete any of those deployed workload clusters, maybe we just want to spin up, spin down these casually, and we want to keep the management cluster there, great stuff. We can do that quite easily, and in doing so we can simply just Tanzu cluster delete, and we know that it's called Explore WRK, and if we hit that, yes, we are sure. And what you're going to see eventually, in fact, Tanzu cluster list is another good way of being able to see. You can see here that we're at that deleting phase. So at the moment, everything's still going to be there. You see that actually that we just dropped down. There was one more, so our worker node is already gone for our workload cluster. And once that's complete, we can then, so at the moment we can't go and delete our management cluster because it's keeping control of that existing workload cluster already. So what we're waiting on is for this to change, and if we keep on looking, which takes some time, we'll see that we'll drop the control plane. It will go 0 to 1 and 0, 0. You can see that workers already gone, so that would normally say 1 there, or however many workers you decide to deploy. So again, there you go. You can see our control plane, no, our Bastion host, something else has gone. I think it's our worker node. Yes, it's our control plane, sorry. So if I do that now, you're going to see 0 of 1, but we're still seeing that there is a cluster there in that deleting state. So we should wait until that's completely gone before we can continue with deleting the management cluster. Or you might choose to just redeploy a new one at that as well. So this takes, I think, around 5 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on things. Bastion should be pretty soon to be removed as well. Again, the other thing to mention, and I've already set this, is the command for setting your environment variable for the default region. On Windows, in particular in PowerShell, then I'm going to use setx AWS_region. Now I'd set this prior to when I actually deployed the regional, the workload cluster. This needs to be set for this to work as well, for you to be able to delete the management cluster. So, okay, so we're still deleting. Our Bastion host is also now gone. If we go back to the dashboard, you see here that we've got 13 security groups. These will then start to disappear soon as well. These WRKs, we actually just get rid of all of that. They go down to 12, and if we, yeah, there we go. It's starting to completely disappear here. I think we should be left with about 6. Let's have another look in here. Okay, yeah, being impatient now. So this will take care of all of the, not only the provisioning, obviously when we created it in the other video, but also the removal of everything that we need to get that TKG, that Tanzu Kubernetes grid cluster up and running in our environment. Yeah, so we're still deleting. So as I mentioned, so that's getting rid of that cluster, but maybe we did want to now go and create a new cluster. We could go and do that. We could then also, by looking at that workload YAML that we have saved, we could start to look at increasing or changing some of the areas in which we want to run here. So yeah, so if you wanted to, we could go and create another using the Tanzu cluster create workload cluster name and then pointing it to that YAML file with any of the additional changes to that. Like I say, this takes, there we go. So in theory, we should be down to, okay, 7, one of the defaults, and then 6 of the management stack. So at this point, we could obviously go and create a new cluster, or we could go and continue and delete our management cluster as well now that everything is clear. So in order to do that, we go down here, we can go and get our management cluster information. It's going to give us all that information that we have, and then what we want to do is we can just simply delete that from our, with a name of explore. Do we want to delete it? Yes. Remember I said about that AWS region variable that is going to be used at this point because we're using the CLI to be able to achieve that. So now we'll start that same process over again to remove that from our AWS instance. And again, this will start ticking down again. It might take 5 minutes again. The other thing to show is, to really clear up everything, is if we go to kubectl config get context, or contexts rather, you'll see that our worker one is still in there. So we have to manually go and delete that. Config delete context, delete context, and then it's called WRK admin at explore WRK, and then we're going to also go and delete that cluster using the delete cluster command, so that we're back to just that one. And actually when we're doing this, this actually deletes, this deletes this from the config, I think. I'm not sure why it says installing, because I've definitely said delete, so it'd be interesting to see what actually is happening here. Okay. So it's setting up a cleanup cluster. So does that mean we're going to see... Yeah, there we go. So the cleanup cluster is actually spinning up that, similar to the Bootstrap, probably the same to be fair, on our local Docker Docker desktop or Docker locally, is you'll see here that we're deploying this as part of the deletion. So we're deleting the contents, then in here we should start to see everything start to disappear. But again, in real time I'm up to just over 11 minutes to make sure that this is deleted. I'm going to cut out a lot of the empty space so that you don't have to sit through that on your systems. Okay, so our worker node is now gone. Okay, and then management cluster is now deleted. If we go and have a look at Docker PS, we shouldn't have anything up and running there. And just to be sure, yeah, we're back to the defaults. Hopefully that was useful. That's just clearing up your Tanzu Kubernetes edition where we've deployed over to AWS.